Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine on episode 193 of Mike and Blaine Business, Beer, and BS. I'm Mike Marlin, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is Blaine Birch, the CEO and co-founder of Dry Run. What's up, my man? How's it going?
Oh, good now, because I've been looking forward to this all day. So it's nice to get on. Nice to have a beer and get going here. And this is a good way to end the day because it's been a little bit of a long day. Just one of those ones that, it's a bit of a long day. So excited to jump into this topic. Brilliant marketing, broke edition. Love it.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that I couldn't wait. It was like I got used to doing it on Tuesdays, and now we went back to the regular schedule of Thursdays, and I'm going, damn, that's a long time. Because it has been. It's been over a week, right, since we did one. So, but yeah, we're back on Thursdays, back on track. I'm excited about that. So today's a little different, meaning that we've been working some other, angles, whatever's happening kind of in my life. It's kind of what we talk about apparently on this show. But I got some renewals and stuff for some marketing and advertising promotions and partnerships. And, I'm kind of in that time of the year for whatever reason, they kind of come in now. Mm-hmm. And I got one that bugged me, right? So I'm like going, damn it, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I want to talk about that today. That's where that's coming from, meaning, every dollar matters. And it's so hard to break out. It's so hard to break them out for advertising and marketing, even though you have to do it. It's one of the hardest triggers to pull. So I want to talk about that today.
Yeah. Really challenging time. And like you said, part of it is just it's attribution. Is this actually working? It's hard to know. It's really hard to know. And it's hard to know if you're flushing money down the toilet or if you stop, you're actually stopping some of the flow because it was actually working and you didn't really know it. So good topic. Always topical, but right now it's a trickier time for people out there. So it's a great time to dive into this. But before we get into the topic, what are you drinking today?
Hey, I am having a Neighbor Pat special, right? And I forget what it was now because he gave it to me like 2 weeks ago. And he told me he gave it to me where it wasn't supposed to be refrigerated until the 21st. So then it was like in the pantry until the 21st. And I had to be reminded 2 or 3 times, put it in the fridge. So it's been in the fridge. Okay. So I don't know what it is. All right. I think it's the Irish Red, but I can't remember what he said it was. Now I want to give Neighbor Pat a little bit of credibility or a little bit of kudos. Look, remember how bad his quality control was. He's getting closer on getting the same amount of beer into the bottles. I don't know if you can see that.
Almost there.
We're getting closer.
A little bit.
So we're getting closer on the amount of beer that goes into each bottle.
Yeah. It is a bit of a light fill though.
It is. He's a little bit stingy with it, right? A little stingy. He's not giving me the full 12.
You didn't hear that from me, Pat.
So anyway, I'm going to have whatever it is that Neighbor Pat gave me. And he is one of our beer sponsors. And hey, before we go on, because I'm talking about neighbors, damn, I can't get Pat's bottle off. Let me show. I've got a friend, neighbor Thomas and neighbor Jessica. They live right across the street, and they're in Ireland right now, right? And we've talked about Ireland and Guinness and those type of things. Yep. Well, he says, hey, listen, he's not a big beer drinker at all, but he says, I'm having beer right now, like every time I sit down, I'm having a beer. Right. So he sent me a picture. He goes, this is the typical lineup in an Irish bar. Right. So I don't know exactly what part somebody's going to say, what part of Ireland is he in? Fuck, I don't know. Somewhere over there. I don't know. He told me the whole thing. Yeah. So check this out. And I'll put it on Facebook too. But watch this here. Screen. I want to show you. Where's that picture at? I always hate this. So
we're tech pros over here.
Yeah. Well, why doesn't it show up? Why did it show up the way I want to? All right, entire screen. Hell with that. I hope there's nothing. I don't know what about.
So here's all your banking information and your PIN number.
why can't I find that? Anyway, I'll try this. So can you see, you can probably see the text message chain, right? Can you see this picture now that I do
I
that?
can see all the phone numbers, so you might not want to
Damn
keep
it.
that
All
out.
right. All right. So let me shut that down. I don't know how to do it. All right. Well, this is the worst thing ever. So anyway, it's got
I'll
4
edit
beers.
that out.
Yeah. It's got four beers on it. It's Guinness, Carlsberg, which I think you've probably heard of, right? That's a Pilsner. It's got this thing called Northbound 26. It's a pale ale, which I would probably really love. The fourth one, right? There's only 4 taps. There's the fourth one. You want to guess what it is?
Kilkenny.
No, it's Coors. Coors Light.
Oh, so disappointed. So disappointed.
How funny is that? The 4 of them, right? I'll put the picture out there on the Facebook, but I don't know why I couldn't figure out how to share just the picture. I had the picture up, so I don't know why I can't do that. But Coors Light was the 4th choice. And I'm going, I'm a percentage Irish. I don't know what if it's 25 or 35 or 40, something like that. I think I'm Irish and Scandinavian, so I'm almost all Viking over here.
Okay, well, and like maybe that's why you have the Coors Light, because that's one beer you probably will never ever find in my house unless someone brings it and leaves it.
I'll bring it.
Probably going
I'll
out
bring it with
trash.
me.
To be honest. Okay, so we got our beer. I better tell you about the beer I got going today. So I pulled out because I just really wanted this beer because I really like it. Spilt Milk, which is a milk stout from Omen Brewing here in Edmonton. It is just delicious. It is such a fantastic beer, and it's only 4.5%. So it's delicious, and it's actually a bit of a lighter pour too. So love the guys at Omen. I probably even featured this beer before because it's just a really, really nice beer to have hanging around the fridge. And so yeah, on to our beer sponsors that we owe for helping us drink beer every week. So I'm going to kick off. Well, we already talked about Neighbor Pat. Pat's been a sponsor forever, right? Since the show started, always bringing you down beers. So thanks again, Neighbor Pat. And I'm going to jump into Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog. So if you have a small business, you got to know how to use QBO, QuickBooks Online. Go talk with Rachel at gentlefrog.com, or better yet, go to the YouTube channel at Gentle Frog, and you will find everything you need to become that QuickBooks expert that you want to be.
Yeah, and then we got to always thank Karen Hairston, right? Another year-long sponsor out of Michigan, 3S Smart Consulting. If you're looking for cash flow help, if you need somebody to put more cash in your pocket, she can find hidden cash in your business and put it back into your bank account where it belongs. So Karen Hairston at 3S Smart Consulting up in Michigan.
And just since last week, I think the cash flow cowboy, Larry Weinstein, the best CPA in Houston, Texas, back for the rest of the year. So thanks again, Larry. Really appreciate it. Hope to catch up with you one of these days. And yeah, thanks for the support. Always appreciate it.
Yeah. And then lastly, he's back, right? He's back. I even rapped about him last week. It's Devin over at well, he's from LSU, like a graduate. He worked there, but he's one of the best college bookstore seller managers things in Southern Louisiana. So I tell you what, if you want somebody to root on LSU football or sell you books if you're in college down there, he'll do both. He'll do both.
There you go. Devin, I could just hear the people lining up now.
Hey, and that's just how cool these beer sponsorships are, because you don't have to have a business. You could just be a person, right? You could just say, you know what, dude, I like the show, man. Like Neighbor Pat, like Devin. They're just people listening to the show. We really appreciate that, because even though it's business, beer, and BS, we hope that you get something out of it every time you listen.
Yeah, absolutely. And as usual, we're going to just ask you to like, follow, subscribe, and go to mikeandblaine.com. You can buy us a beer for $5 a beer, or you can buy us a whole bunch all the way through the end of the year, whatever you want. We'll talk about you on the show. So, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. And on to our topic.
All right. So, like I said, you know what? First of all, I want to say thank you to you, because for you remember that like, follow, subscribe thing. I was on a podcast the other day as a guest. I don't know if you know this, but occasionally people say, Mike, can you be on our podcast as a guest? I'm like, I did that. And the guy twice or 3 times during the show not only ask people to like or follow, subscribe, he says, go tell 3 friends.
Oh,
right? I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. Right? Go
I'm
tell
going
3
to
friends.
challenge our crowd. Go tell 4 friends. Actually, just go tell one. Just
Go
do
tell one.
guys. Yeah, just start with one. Just go tell one.
Well, what do we got? All right, so let's focus on the YouTube channel real quick. We got like 150 people on YouTube, and this is the newest thing you've been doing.
Just
Help us get to 200. Help us get to 200. Right? Let's do that. If you see it's at 146 or 143 or something like that, help us get to 200. We don't have millions of it because we just started pushing YouTube, but hey, I think we're pretty actually good on video, not just audio. We're good on video too.
Yeah, if you can stand the looks of us, we're pretty good on video.
Let's
put up with it. Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, so this is being brilliant, marketing brilliance, broke edition. Now, before somebody calls me out and says, "Well, we're not broke," I'm like, "No, broke is just a word I chose because it's funny." But broke means, hey, listen, I mean, every dollar's tight, every dollar matters. What you do with it, and there are some opportunities that cross your desk that you can never do because it's $10,000 or whatever your number is. It could be $3,000. You're like going, damn, that's just too much for me right now. This is about marketing on a shoestring, right? Getting your name out there, trying to do something and picking the things that matter without really wasting your time. Right. Because that's really what we're talking about in a lot of this is time. So it started with an email for me. Right. That's where this whole topic started, with an email I got on Monday about, hey, we want to talk to you about our upcoming partnership renewal. And here's our new packages. And guess what the new packages were? Price increases.
Way more. Yeah.
Like way more for way less. Right? I'm like going, wait, for what I paid last year. And that's where it started. I'm like going, I looked at the package. They had one that was about the same cost as last year with about half the stuff. So that's a price increase to me, right? It's about half the
huge
stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't like about this agreement, right, was that there's requirements of doing things for their brand. I'm like going, damn, I don't want to pay you
to do that.
To promote your brand. It should be the opposite way around. If I'm promoting or if I'm paying you, you should be promoting my brand, not the other way around, right? So it's one of those things where it got me thinking, what else can I do? Right? I don't need that one, because then I started looking back, like you say, what is it? What can I attribute back to them? Well, I can't say it's nothing because there is something there, but I can't say it's a lot either. I can say, well, maybe it's worth not doing it.
Well, yeah, and it's when you see things like that happen, and it's like, yeah, we're going to do half as much for the same amount of money, and you have to promote us and all that kind of stuff, and they think they're brilliant, and I wonder how many people are going to be just like you, going, I don't know if these guys are actually following through. And it'd be curious if they actually came back and said, hey, we value you as a sponsor. You've been an absolute, like, we love having you around, and because we love having you around, we're going to give you 5% off this year for the same package. And we're also going to promote you one extra thing. Then you start going like, hey, cool, these guys really value me, right? And they want me as a sponsor. When they come back that other way, it's like, how many times have I canceled stuff over something like that, where I'm just going like, let me stop and think about it. And when I stop and think about it, it's usually, I don't think they're delivering.
Well, I mean, yeah, because here was the thing, right? Their annual fee, because I pay annually to be part of this, their annual fee is just something that I budget for, and it's just part of it. All of a sudden, they became the tallest blade of grass. And you never want to be the tallest blade of grass. You always get cut. Yeah. And that's what happened. You're like, wait a second, I pay more for less. Then all of a sudden I'm looking at you differently, right? You're not mixing in anymore. You're actually becoming a standout in my plan.
Yeah. And like the time we're in right now, boy, small businesses are cutting discretionary spending like you wouldn't believe. Like, it is a tough time to sell. Seems to me to not be the best time to do all these price increases and everything. I'm talking you into it. And a few other of you big guys that think this is such a brilliant time. It's hard to imagine they're not pushing some people out the door because they're tired of increases everywhere. It's just, it's getting a little old.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in an industry that's being tariffed and regulated, and I mean, all this type of stuff where it increases your cost, I get it. I get a price increase. This is you posting about me once a quarter, or
Yeah.
or it's really almost nothing. Like putting me in an email blast or letting me come to your conference. I mean, where's the price increase? What did you increase? I mean, why did it cost more to work with you?
Well, and you know, the other thing too, as you mentioned here, you're like, it's really hard to attribute to these things to see if you actually got customers out of it. And, you know, like you said, like, yeah, I got a little bit. It's like, yeah, okay. Can I get as much or more out of spending half, a quarter? None.
To me, it's like worth the shot. Because they're not a big enough draw for me to go, I can't cut this, right? There are some like when I worked with the foundation repair company up in Kansas City as his consultant, he cannot cut Google ad spend. 85-90% of his business comes through Google ads. Yeah. He can't cut it, right? Dude, what you can cut is the homeowners show that nobody's going there because their basement is leaking. Right? Yeah, they go there because they go there because they want a new deck or something like that, not because they have a leaky basement. They go to Google saying, "Fuck, there's water in my basement."
Exactly, and they're not going to remember you when that happens. Like it's just it's so easy. Like you and I both know, it's so easy to burn money. You and I have both done it, and sometimes watching tens of thousands of dollars go out the door, and you're like, I don't think that worked. And then sometimes it's like, oh my God, we didn't do anything there and it just worked, because everybody who wants your money has every promise under the sun. Like you see them all the time, every promise under the sun. You could do this, you could get that, you could do this and you could get that. And it's, you know, the good acid test is to always say, okay, let's do a little rev share. You bring me these clients that you know are going to come in, I'll give you a nice little cut and you'll even make more money. And guess what? They will run away because they know they're just trying to sell you, right? And sometimes, I'm not saying everything, but you got to look at everything so carefully and go, are my customers there the exact people that are going to buy from me? And am I going to get the right message in front of them at the right time? Are they going to remember me? Like you said, timing, everything. So easy to burn cash, right?
Well, and here's what they're doing. I mean, not only will I save the annual fee, but then I'll save all the cost of going to the conference, right? Yeah. The hotel, the flight, the meals, the beers, you know, all the other, the tchotchkes and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Then I'm going, I think I can spend that much more money somewhere else. So I think that was a mistake on their part. Now, I just got back from a conference 2 weeks ago, remember? Mm-hmm. And I'm not seeing the lift that I thought would come out of that one, right? So that's another one. I'm like going, I've did this one twice, and I skipped a year. I'm like, okay, well, I did it. I didn't really get much. I skipped it, and I said, okay, I'll go back and do it differently this time, and I'm still not getting much. It's not the right group for me, right? So I that's what I'm figuring out this year is some of these things that I've done in the past, I just need to let go.
And, you know, like the conferences are really tough to make a dollar on, especially a booth. Booths are there if it's the right place, right time and everything. I think to build your brand or build credibility with your brand, probably not straight up business development. And making money or making the most out of a conference, it takes work and it takes some planning, takes some pre-planning, right? And like I was, you know, last week that was one of our Tuesday recordings because guess where I was? I was at a conference Wednesday, Thursday, and I guess it was on Friday. I wasn't there. But I'll tell you, the way I handled that is I wasn't at a single session, but I was at 6 different networking events, and I set up a bunch of meetings. And that's what I spent all my time, set up all of these meetings. And when I came out of there, I was kind of like, hey, that was really good. I got to catch up with some people that I haven't seen in a long time, know and love. And I'm like, I just got to get in front of them and I want to be able to talk with them, but also had some really good meetings and a couple of nice chance networking opportunities that worked in. and it ended up being really inexpensive. Yeah, I could drive down, grab a hotel, but I actually had to pass to the conference and invites to all the events, and it was worth it, I think.
You're actually talking about one of my favorite ways to generate business is not sponsor an event like that, just be an attendee. Be an attendee and try to just use it to work as if, it's an advertisement. You're the walking Google ad,
Exactly.
just kind of talking to folks. So it's one of those things that I've done in the past. We used to at Finograph alternate a couple of different big conferences where we'd sponsor one, attend the other, and then I'd sponsor that one and then attend the next.
Yeah.
Because if you're not there, then people think you're out of business.
Yeah.
But if you're there, like, we just chose not to have a booth this time. We chose to kind of get involved with what was happening. So attending is way less than sponsoring.
Way less. And like I've sat at those booths, and in between when they're all in sessions, nobody's walking past the booths, and then they all come for coffee, and most people ignore you and don't want to talk with you at the booth. And like, how many per day, if you've had a booth, how many on average conversations do you think you would get standing at a booth all day?
I think on average I was doing 30 to 50, right? At decent conferences, right? If they have 1,000 people, you can expect 30 to 50 decent conversations a day. So you're walking out of there with 150, maybe 200 leads out of 1,000.
Yeah.
Just leads.
If you're doing that.
Just leads. Yeah. Just leads.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. You're killing it if you're doing that. But also I would say that if you walk out of there 150 to 200, you've had 150 to 200 conversations, and you've probably qualified out some percentage, that 30 or 40%. So you're still walking out with legit leads.
All right. So that conference I went to a couple weeks ago, 160 people attended. I think I had 40 conversations at the booth. Of that, maybe 25 were legit. Right, they weren't just there for the free book or the free,
That's the other thing, yeah.
Right, there's 25 people, and maybe I've had 2-3 take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Right, so that's when I'm like, that's not worth it to me anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like this conference I was at, like I said, I didn't go to a single session. Went to, I think it was 6 networking events, 7, something like that, and had a handful of meetings that I had pre-booked as well. And I didn't add it up, but each event I was probably, because I was working the room, right? 10 or 15 conversations at each event, easily, minimum. And so you're talking about like 6 events, you'd be, I don't know, do the math there. Like you're over 100 conversations. And then I had some pre-planned, like pre-set up meetings. And so by the time I left, I'm like, had some really good conversations, got a couple new leads, got some good. And I would say like it was surpassed what I would have done at a booth. And I could be a little bit choosier in a way of like working a room and who I talk to, because I'm not waiting for them to come to me. I'm going out and finding them. There are benefits. I just don't think they're for, I think the booths at conferences, the benefit is primarily for well-established businesses that are trying to build, like establish that credibility in the brand, and they show up everywhere and they're sponsoring everything and they look really big. For startups, it is a terrific way to bleed through your cash and not make a nickel off of it. So I always, for startups, I wouldn't recommend them. One of the ways I've had a bunch of booths is because we've been part of different accelerators and different programs and things, and they've given us booths. Hell yeah, I'm there. Give me a booth. I'm freaking there. And I will also network the living crap out of everything while I'm there. But to drop a huge bunch of cash, it's a hard way to make a buck unless you just, it's the right place, right people, and you've made money before. Sometimes, like home show deck builder, yeah, maybe they make their money, right? But it's got to be the right place, right time.
Yeah. So, I mean, and to me, I got selected to speak at another conference coming up in September, and they gave me 2 sessions, which makes it better. If I can't get on the stage a lot of times, or I can't get in a breakout session or something, it makes it really, really hard. right? Because I think from what I do, once you see me talk about it on a stage, they go, yeah, I need that. If you see me at a booth, I got 30 seconds to, tell you how to optimize cash. If you give me 90 minutes or 60 minutes, dude, you're going to be wanting a credit card when it's already in your hand before we, walk out of the room.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me a little bit about that.
Which one? The credit card thing?
No, about your services.
that was a terrible transition. But yeah, because I missed it. That was like what do you mean?
Because you missed it. I thought I threw you a mush ball. I thought this is topical, perfect timing.
Yeah. It's right now. It's about 5 minutes early. So, all right. So, hey, what we're talking about, if you're confused, with, what Blaine needs to do is start sticking to his knitting and just let me do the transitions. Because he fumbled that one. All right. I felt like he fumbled it. So here's what.
It wasn't me.
Here's what he's talking about. During the mid-roll, when we don't have a sponsor, right now, meaning we're kind of in between sponsors. Magic Mind was just with us. So right now we're kind of in this waiting for the next person to pick up the baton. But when that happens, it doesn't bother us because I have a company, he has a company. We just alternate week after week after week after week, just like that. And the odd weeks, I'm the oddball. So Cashflow Mike is what we're talking about. And what we're talking about is what I do for advisors. And what I do is I take you from being an advisor by force, meaning that everybody is being forced into being this advisor. They think that you have to do that or your accounting practice is going to fail. I'm not telling you that. Everybody else around you is, right? That's what's happening in the industry because software, AI, everything is automating the whole accounting industry. So the best way to make yourself valuable is actually have conversations with your clients that matter, ones that put money back into their pocketbook. And that's what I help you do is I have a program called the Clear Path to Cash, which is now fully enveloped from the initial conversation of the sale all the way through even exiting a company. I've got a clear step technique from the conversation through the math, through the solution that walks you through. It has 3 different pillars. You get live coaching, which means I'm actually on a Zoom call like this with people 15 times a month, right? That's weird, Blaine, because nobody's doing that. I am the hardest working, what was that? The hardest working person in show business or whatever, but in the advisory business. I'm the hardest working person in the advisory business because I'm putting 15 hours into you in your practice. People come here. We get anywhere from 3 to 25 people a time jumping in. They say, I got this problem with the client. How would you address it? And we work through your problems. It's like adding me as an employee for almost nothing, right? So think about that. You get me as part of your team for almost nothing. So that's the live coaching, 15 hours a month. You also get the video courses. And I have probably 50 hours of just video courses of different situations, different techniques, different ways to communicate with folks, and helping you find hidden cash and understand what to do next. Lastly, to tie all this together, I have an app. I have a software program that does both the coaching conversation. Find me another app that tells you what to say and when to say it, and then what math technique to use to solve it. Nobody has it. It's a Clear Path to Cash. It is now, Blaine, patent pending. Right? It's patent pending, right? So because we got an AI layer that we're going to put into it later, but right now it has MI, which is my intelligence. Got that built right into it, baked into the cake. So if you like, not only just to watch a video where somebody can teach you how to do it, get the live support that you need when you need it, and then the software tools that you need to do it effectively and efficiently, check out my programs. Go to cashflowmike.com. And right now, I'm giving away the 7-minute conversation, not book, lesson. You're going to get the video course, the book, and the worksheet, the spreadsheet that goes with it to do the 7-minute conversation. You could be doing that tonight with your clients. So go pick it up right now at cashflowmike.com.
All right, there you go.
That's pretty good. I think I'm getting good at this. All right, it's like 3 years later, I can actually talk about my business.
That's good, man.
Yeah, that's one of the. Hey, that's one of the hardest things that business owners have to do. I mean, I
Mhm.
see people fumble all the time. We talk about the booth. We talk about just what do I say in an ad? What do I say in my marketing? Dude, that's the hardest thing to do is tell others what you do in a way
Yeah.
that they instantly get it and they want to take action.
Yeah. And that's circling back now to the conferences. That's one of the things that I find really useful about a conference. But again, you get it by getting out there and walking around and talking with people. And when I say good around talking with people, you got to know how to work a room. Walk up and talk to people. Don't stand and wait for them to talk with you, right? Like you have to be pretty proactive. But you get to pitch and you get to talk about your business over and over and over. It's like that little elevator pitch. You have those conversations. You kind of see what works, what doesn't, but you also get to figure out who wants to talk with you and who doesn't. And you can get a lot of intel really quickly that way.
Yeah, I think we talked about this like maybe even a couple episodes ago. I said it's the best forcing mechanism I've ever had. It forces me to say the thing over and over and over again. And every time you say it and you stumble, you learn. You go, that's not the right wording, or that turned them off, or that's not the way I should answer that question. You learn every time. If you're not learning, you just wasted all your money. You've wasted all your money. Now there's, I wanted to go and talk about a few cheap things you can do, right? There are some cheap things. And this is where I'm pushing myself this year is to find more of these type of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
My best lead source right now, right? Best lead source, believe it or not, is my partnership with Insightful Accountant. They're just they're a media company, right? But it's just all about what's going on in the accounting industry, and they provide, education and content for accountants, bookkeepers, those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I met up with them in the last decade, maybe, it's been a process. But over the last 2 years, they've given me my own 30-minute webinar per week or per month.
Nice.
30 minutes per month. So it's 30 minutes of my time. Now I got to create the content, but I did 12 of them the first year. Guess what we're doing the next year? Same stuff. We're just recycling it, right? Yeah. Cause you're going to get new people. You're going to get people that forgot it, right? Because it was 12 months ago. So I built 12 30-minute sessions, and I didn't build them all at once. I built them before they were due. Right? So think about that. You build that, and now I do 30-minute sessions, and I'm getting 100 to 125 new leads a month just from this. Who's providing the leads? They are. I walk in, sit down, do my webinar. I get the list afterwards. That's gold to me, right? Because it's 30 minutes of my time, but it keeps my list fresh with people that either just heard me or wanted to hear me. And now I know they're kind of interested in what I got to say. So I'm looking for more opportunities like that. I just had a conversation today. It's a little early to announce, if anything's going to happen, but it's the same type of deal. It's their audience, right? So that's one of my tips to everybody that's out there is find somebody who has your audience, who already has your customer, and try to partner with them and give them something that you can offer so everybody can get a taste. They get the value add. In my case, these media companies get my content or parts of my content, and I get access to their audience. That's the perfect thing for me because my stuff sells when I'm in front of somebody. It doesn't sell off of a screen as easily as it does if you're talking to me.
Yeah. And the good thing that you have is, exactly who your audience is, who's going to buy from you, what that message is. It sounds easy.
Yeah. Say more about that. Say more. That's exactly right. Say more about that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the biggest challenges. And it does, like, it was even hard for our business to try and get that when you're looking for product market fit. It is, sometimes the market isn't who you thought they were. Right. And, it can be really challenging. And sometimes, like, I've gone after markets where logically it sounds smart and you talk with people and it sounds right. Everything, of course, is going to be perfect. And it's not. And then fortunately, we got some pull coming from these other areas where we're like, oh, geez, I think that's where it is. And it's still hard. hard to find that market. And then when you find that market, what are they looking for? What problem do they have? What are they responding to when you talk with them? Like how, like even when you said like walking around and doing these little pitches, what do they respond to when you describe what you do? Right. I was talking with, when I was down in Calgary last week, I was talking with a startup founder, and he was sort of telling me what he did. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of interesting, but I didn't really get it. And then he demoed it for me, and I'm like, that is really interesting. But I don't think he had figured out how to explain it quick and get right to the meat and get right to the focus. And it's not easy. It is not easy. But when you get there and you talk with the right people and you say, and they nod and they get it and they're talking and parroting it back to you and introducing you to other people, and it makes sense. It's like, yeah, then you've got the right group and the right hook.
And speaking of that, I got to tell people, if you're starting your business today, start building your email list today. It's the most valuable thing I have, right? Because it always keeps people in front, right? And that's one of the things that you can do pretty much for free. Right? Yep. There's things you can do. Say, hey, listen, join my newsletter. Join my referral program. Here's my 10 cups of coffee, right? Give me your email address, buy 10 cups of coffee. I'll give you the 11th one free. It doesn't matter. The email is what you're trying to get, right? Get the email list, because that is what's going to provide you with recurring and repeat and new customers from now on, right? I focus intently on names on an email list.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the first thing when I came with the idea for Dry Run. I put up a web page and a form to get their email. And like one line or two lines of what it was barely an idea, but I started gathering emails. And when we actually sort of launched our kind of our early prototype, that's what got us our first few customers to validate. But it also taught us, once we were like, okay, let's go to prototype, but this is not a product. Yep. Build the product. You need that customer feedback, and you just need straight up customers. And I agree with you. Like email is very intentional. You get to go straight to them. And for us, it's email. LinkedIn is also a really good one for us, building out that LinkedIn community, having a really good system in place, again, to message the right people at the right time. And and that's not costly stuff. You're not spending a ton of money, maybe to get your searches, but that's it.
It would be costly if you bought it. Do not buy an email list. Don't buy it, because all you're doing is junking people. You're going right to junk. You're going right to spam. You're getting complaints. You're going to burn your domain. Do not buy an email list if you're me. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't buy one. And if you are doing cold emails, I would recommend using a different domain name for sure to protect it, build up. There's a whole bunch of things. If you are going to do email, look it up first and figure out what the strategies and tactics are to make sure you're doing it right.
Well, that's one of the things that more is not better. You want the right person. I think we talked about it before, where I'm on an email list that I never open. I know they're there. I see them come in. I never open them. I instantly delete it, but I don't unsubscribe because it's not the right time.
Yes.
Meaning there's something that they have. I just ain't figured out how to either use it, or I don't need it right now, but I think I might.
Exactly.
Yeah. So some people will use your emails just as a filing cabinet.
Yeah. I have probably at least 20 of those that are just like that when they come in, I basically delete them all, but it reminds me they're there. And when the timing's right, I'll take a look at it. Right. And yeah, it's really valuable. And it's funny, like there's times where I've gone to a website and I go to the bottom of the page looking where I can sign up for their email list. And they've decided emails like to last year or something. It's like, here's all our social media. No. Who cares if I follow you? I'm never going to see your post. No, if you want to get hold of me, email comes directly to me to give me a message right to my inbox. If it's on social media, dead. I'm not seeing it.
Like, it is not dead. I'm telling you.
Yep.
It's not dead. Now I do have a problem anymore with this SMS, right? With text messaging. If you talk to a marketing person, oh, that's a must have. You got to do that. I am so pissed off at my phone and text messages because I think I want that to be for people I know with
Yeah.
shit that I want to talk about. Not your special 15% off because it's Memorial Day. No, I think I can do this. Stop STOP without even looking at my phone because
Yeah.
it is overused, and I think my phone is more personal to me than my email box.
Easily. Email now is more, and the reason it works for what it does is it's turned into more like mail. It's for a lot of it, it isn't necessarily timely. It comes in and it's more like I can leave it in the mailbox. I can look at it when I want to. I can file it. I can do whatever. Now my phone, which frankly, I don't answer my phone. If the only people that ever phone me, my parents, my in-laws, my wife, and you. I'm pretty sure that's the only ones that actually ever phone. and those numbers come through. Almost all the other numbers are blocked anyway. But text, that's where everyone's always connecting with me. But that's quick messages from people that I know that are friends and family and everything. I agree with you. That's not where I want ads, and it'll just piss me off.
And I hope it's not just me being 50-year-old grumpy man, get off my lawn type of guy. It's too much. The text is too much because I know what I want to use my phone for, and it's not that.
Yep. And it's not that. It feels more intrusive to me, where email is like a mailbox. Text is like they're banging on my door, and just no, I'm not answering the door. It's just a different thing.
Yeah. So, what are some things you've done in the past that cost almost nothing, if nothing, or if they cost anything, it cost this much, that worked? You're saying, oh shit, that it worked.
There's stuff that it's not magic, and the reason people talk about it and it still works. SEO is not dead. Websites are not dead. Making sure and it's you to do it right. You got to make sure I think to do SEO right, you just need to make sure that you've got the right messaging and you're writing for your customer. You're not trying to hack it. You're not trying to come up with some trick or anything. Just know who your customer is, get a lot of good content on, keep it fresh, have a blog up there, keep it fresh. We get leads like that all the time, every day.
Yeah, and there's enough SEO tools that can help you. Even, if you're willing to put in the time, it can help you. It says, hey, you're missing tags on this, this, and this. Oh, and then you go put the tags in.
Yeah. The details, you can get tools for that. But the main part is just think about your customer and think about the content and do that right. And then enhance it with all the SEO tactics, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So, all right. So you probably heard all the stories about the orange vest at Finnegraph. You ever hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how we got known in the beginning. Find the guy in the orange vest and he's got this, right? So I would put candy bars or I'd put, whatever it was. But it was the orange vest that cost us almost nothing. It was like $18 or whatever on Amazon, the first one, right? And then I got a nicer one because that one was too hot. But the orange vest got us known, and it was like just something weird because nobody was wearing an orange vest. It was just that guy. He stood out. It's like I told you about my buddy Seth David, where he and his partner in the very, very beginning both bought 2 T-shirts. So think about that. They spent $30. I don't know. One of them said it was just plain text, not Seth David. The other one said Seth David. That was it. And they walked around QuickBooks Connect. There was 3,000 people there, right? Magic Johnson was one of the speakers that year, and they did that. So I'm like going, they walked around. Everybody was like going, hey, who's Seth David? Who's Seth David? Who's Seth David? And it was the greatest thing. And they were selling School of Bookkeeping at the time. I mean, that was the business they were propping up. But it got somebody saying, that's the content creator. That's the guy that teaches you at School of Bookkeeping. That's, but it was just that one thing they found where people will go, what is that? And I think that's your first step in marketing. Say, what is that? And I likened it to the Blair Witch Project. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Yeah.
So in the very beginning, I mean, they made this thing with $25,000, and they made like 250 million on it, right? I mean, that was that much of a. I'm making up the numbers, but it was like,
Yeah.
but I think it was like $25,000 movie that they made. But what they did in the very beginning to promote it was they actually just printed up missing persons, flyers like you see, hey, missing a cat, missing this, and post them different places, and sent people to their website to get people to go watch this movie or be attended to it. So it was like a really weird, it cost them nothing. It was made with handheld video recorders, and it was a beautiful, genius marketing thing that cost them almost nothing to get their name out there to begin with. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're doing that you can put yourself out there in front of somebody? Is it your orange vest? Is it I wouldn't say do missing person photos or posters right now, because that might get you in trouble. It worked then. It won't work now.
Yeah. It's the purple cow philosophy that they always talk about for marketing is, if you drive by a herd of cows and they're all a bunch of, dairy cows, and there's one purple cow in the crowd, and you see that everyone sees it. Right. And so that's one of the tactics is how do you stand out, but you got to stand out in the right way. There's ways where it's like, you stood out, but you're shooting yourself in the foot. Right. So but it is, you do need to stand out from your competitors, especially when you're a startup. Right.
So speaking of standing out, have you ever seen like Wendy's social media? Like, I don't know if it's like Instagram or Twitter. It must be Twitter, I think. Wendy's, the hamburger joint.
Yeah. No, I've never seen it, but yeah.
They've developed this sarcastic persona, whereas they start ribbing on people. They start fucking with people. But I mean, not in a grotesque or profane way. They're just really witty, and they're not afraid to call you out on your BS, right? On Twitter. It's Wendy's. It's like the hamburger place, and they're calling you out on your stuff. And for whatever reason, it took off, right? Because people like that. Here's a big brand, but now they have a hyper localized feel about it. It's like Wendy's a smart ass. Wendy talks shit. Let's see what Wendy's got to say. That's kind of where it's moved. I don't know if it means they're selling more hamburgers, but I do mean that they got reoriented to social media to be able to get that. It wouldn't work for me. I don't want to be known as a smart ass on social media. No. But is there something you can do? That's what they did.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it really comes down to they know their market, and they're going, how do we get to them? And highly corporate filtered buttoned up image probably wouldn't get to their market, because that's not who's coming to Wendy's. It's not the suit crowd from Wall Street is probably not congregating at Wendy's every day for lunch. It's just probably not their, I'm guessing, but it's not their crowd. Right. And so they know who their crowd is. And that's the intersection, right? Who am I speaking to? Where are they? And what message will they respond to? What tone will they respond to? How do you stand out, but stand out that in a meaningful way that makes sense to them, that they trust you and they want to hear about you, right?
So what happens if you become popular and can't deliver? Think about that, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what made me think of this. I forget when it was. In the last 3, 4, 5 months, I watched the documentary on the Fire Festival. You heard that one? Fire, FYRE Festival.
Wasn't it the one where they didn't actually have a festival? They had a couple of tents and everyone showed up on the island.
Yeah, with hot dogs and shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember it. Yeah.
But what they did was they did some guerrilla type marketing. This is where I'm saying it could go bad for you, right? Meaning that they did some guerrilla type marketing. It was all about a few influencers that talked about the luxury experience that you'd get at this fire festival, right? And their whole market, I mean, it was like almost no money put into the marketing, but because they got the right people with the right audiences talking about it, and went kind of viral, right? About this luxury experience on this island. they were collecting huge dollar amounts from folks coming in. And then, then they had tents and hot dogs and no water. I don't know. It's like
they basically didn't do anything.
Yeah. So everything collapsed, right, on itself. So when we say market and find the thing that gets to your customer, they did that. You also have to have the goods to back it up.
You should have something to sell before you start selling, right? Like it's generating interest and getting people on an email list is one thing. Actually taking their money and having nothing to deliver, which is, what is, I like, it just slipped my mind, but the website where you can people put money in to buy the promise of something. The heck is the website? The startup one where people.
Oh, the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. But at
dude,
least
I got burnt on Kickstarter. I got burnt because I wanted to buy the Magic guitar. Right, it's like by Magic Instruments, Magic guitar. It was stringless and all that. It was about you'd still strum like a set of strings, but they were more, I don't know what the hell it was. It wasn't quite rock star where you push the buttons. It was actually teaching you how to play a guitar, but it taught you how to play guitar. Like, hey, you put in $350 and we'll send you a guitar. I'm like, oh shit, I'm good with that, right? You know, guess who never got a guitar? Guess what company closed down? Right. Yeah. So Kickstarter, I'm like, I don't know if I trust them as much anymore.
That's exactly what I'm saying is like, it's at least with Kickstarter, they're up and up and they know like, you might not get this. Like it's, you're trying to kickstart off some usually half-baked idea. But when you're, that's the one exception where it's like, you're selling stuff, at least people know what they're, but if you're selling something, taking someone's money and you've got nothing, only Kickstarter has been the one, and that type of model are the only ones that have actually made that sort of work, which is kind of bizarre to me. But
yeah, GoFundMe did stuff like that too. Now they're more like fundraising, but I thought GoFundMe had that at the beginning. So so I think my vest worked. I think my partnering with other people that have your customers works.
Yeah.
I also like to, anytime I can just tell people, right? I still wear a Cash Flow Mike shirt. I still, I'll be guest on a podcast. We have a podcast. It doesn't cost us that much a year to put on a podcast.
No.
Right.
No.
And I think what happens with a podcast is there's trust and there's credibility that happens, and you build trust with an audience and they'll buy from you. I've seen like a YouTube videos, people just teaching others how to trim their beard. It was like thousands and hundreds of thousands of views, and it's sponsored by a company. And all of a sudden, that company, sells just from putting out grooming tips.
Yeah.
I'm going, shit, how come my life ain't that easy where I can just put out some grooming tips and sell?
And the funny thing is with that, when you see that stuff on YouTube, it always seems easy. Yeah. Right. Like it's like, oh, grooming tips. I will tell you, there's with things like that, networks like that, I would really caution people from going, oh, it's just easy. I'll just go into YouTube, because there's probably 10,000 different people minimum that are doing grooming tips. And there's like 10 that actually get traffic. So it's hard. So like most people on YouTube, and even like we're on YouTube, we're on all these different networks and everything. It's the idea of go deep with your leads or your people, your crowd, that you're trying to target. Go deep. It doesn't have to be a big amount. Don't try and look at, I need to have millions and millions and millions. No. Yeah. Have the right people. It doesn't have to be that many. Have the right people.
Hey, and I would say when you're just starting out, use the power of one. Get good at one platform. Is it LinkedIn? Like you're really good at LinkedIn. I don't do much with LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn presence. Occasionally I'll post, but that's not, I do most what I do on Instagram or Facebook, right? Because they're connected. I can do one post and it gets to both places. So,
you just have to know where your crowd is and what they respond to, right?
Yeah. So super cool, man. Any last advice from you and the person that's north of the border. How's your hockey team?
They're doing good. They could close out this series with Dallas and actually go to the Stanley Cup final tonight if they win. But we did get some bad news, and we saw it during the game. There was Hyman got hit, and he dropped his stick and held his arm, and he knew right away he's done. That's broken. And they never said what was broken, but they said he got surgery. He's like, he's done.
He's done.
Very, very important part of the team. So that was not ideal, but the team's playing good. We'll see what happens. It's a tough road.
Dude, you guys look like you were just the other night against Dallas, just dominating. I mean, that wasn't even the score looked closer in the beginning, but you could tell. You could just tell.
They've dominated a lot of periods in this whole series. They've been kind of square up on quite a few periods. There've been a few periods where Dallas has absolutely carried it, but they bent but didn't break. They just, and I got to give the team credit, even with all this pressure, they just kind of held in and hang in there. And but it's not going to get any easier. If they get past Dallas, you're right back to the finals against Florida again, and that's a really good hockey team. They're there for the third year in a row for a reason. They're a really good team.
All right. You've been listening to Mike and Blaine. This is episode 193. We are on our way to the 200 pack. 200 super pack? We didn't even talk about that. I mean, we're going to
call it the 200 super pack. We've been talking about it for weeks, and we have done nothing.
Yeah.
So we will come up with something. It'll probably be half baked at the last minute, but we will have a good, we'll have a good pack of, so yeah, I don't know. We haven't even decided yet.
Okay, so here's my. You come up with the logo, the winner. It will be the one and only. We won't even sell it. They only get it, but it will be the Fiddle Hopper T-shirt.
Okay, we could do that. That's
right? Because you said you wanted to come up with it, but it'll be a one of a kind. Only you get it. Nobody else in the world will have one. The Fiddle Hopper. Yeah.
It'll be a green T-shirt with Comic Sans.
There you go. You come up. Yeah. You're the design guy.
Yeah, I will try and come up with something there. So we're gonna do some fun stuff. We'll have some good stuff going on for the old 200 episode, which is only 7 away. We're 7 weeks, still got a little bit of time, but it's coming quick.
All right. So how do they get entered into the drawing?
Oh, yeah. So if you want to be entered in the draw for the to be named later package, all you have to do is like, subscribe, follow, comment on the show, even send us a text. We have people send us a text, comment on the show. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. Leave a comment on one of our socials. Anything you do, we're going to get you right up to the point where we're doing the draw for the 200 Super Pack. You will get included in the draw. So make sure you do that. And we're just going to ask you to like, subscribe, follow, and everything. Anyway, you actually might win something this time from doing that.
There you go. Hey, 183 or 193 is in the books.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.